Hello, noble ones, and welcome to Metatron's Academy. So today I found this. It's a lovely image, lovely pic. Welcome to Beyond the Wall. Okay, why I bet my future on learning Chinese. Well, you know what? As someone who's tried to, I've been trying to get fluent in. Oh, sorry, I'm covering the lady. I've been trying to get fluent in Mandarin for like the last 5 centuries, and eventually I will. Eventually I will. Well, without further ado, let's see what she has to say. And for anyone who asks, why are you wearing that mask? What mask?
Hello everyone and welcome back to Beyond the Wall. So today I'm going to be talking about something very important and very close to home. The practical reasons
It's kind of funny. She actually looks like the anime character.
why I chose to start studying Chinese, and you should too. People
Okay.
ask me this question literally all the time. They're like, why Chinese? Why not
why?
Spanish? Why not Korean? Why would you pick one of the hardest languages on earth? And honestly, in retrospect, looking back on it, I think there are 5 reasons. And the funny thing is, no single one of them is the reason why I kept learning it.
Okay, interesting. Let's see if we have got the same setup. The reasons why she chose Mandarin are the same as the reasons why I chose Mandarin. Yeah. Intro.
Before I even thought about Chinese, I had already been to Japan because of my sister, and also to South Korea because of my sister. And
Splendid.
that trip to South Korea really just changed something in my head. It was like walking around the
I wonder if it's two different sisters or if it's one sister who travels a lot.
city with the huge skyscrapers, watching the
Yeah.
skyline light up at night. And I just remember thinking, I love Asia. That's when I
Me
decided
too.
I wanted to learn an Asian language. For
Yeah.
me, Chinese felt like the immediate obvious choice. Not at all because it was easy, just because it's so relevant in today's world that
Right.
why would you not take advantage and learn it? Without further ado, I'm gonna jump into the reasons, so get ready.
So that's not one of the reasons, guys. This video was not in any way paid for or sponsored by the Chinese government. This is literally just my honest opinion. Always so funny she has to say that. Yeah, and I wasn't really expecting the CCP to push. That's fine. One, economy. I don't think that's a great. We're starting. Okay, I'm not trying to be an asshole. If that's what moved you, great. It worked fantastic. But for me, no, I don't care, honestly. Even if that's why probably in the future I will pick up one of those languages that no one speaks. Who cares? Like it's passion for me rather than economy. I don't think economy is great as one of the reasons, but that's just me.
China is impossible to ignore. Listen, I'm a business student, so
Right.
I do kind of think in terms
So that's why. That's great. Former language student graduated many years ago. I think that is the reason why the business. Let me take the mask off. Business. So it's probably because you're a business student that was impossible to avoid. For me, I never cared.
of money. And in terms of money, you literally
Money.
cannot ignore China. China is always part of the equation these days. It's the second biggest economy in the world, and it was the fastest growing economy probably of all time. Don't fact check me on that. But China's economy grew from almost nothing in the 60s and 70s to becoming second in the world in the span of like 60 years. So when you're talking money, business, manufacturing, supply chains, even more high-tech things now like AI, like China's at the front of the race. Whether you like it or not, they're shaping the global
Is China at the front of the race when it comes to AI?
economy. So for me, I obviously wanted to understand a country that was so prominent and becoming so important. Not
I do appreciate that she says she wants to understand the country, because believe it or not, it's not just about understanding the people or the language that they speak, but in reality, when you choose a language and you study it deeply, then you will end up understanding the way they think, their culture and whatnot. And this applies to any language and any culture. And it's not just about what are they saying, but it's about how are they thinking, and kind of looking at the world from their perspective. This is one of the reasons why I personally love language learning. The money thing is kind of secondary to me, but that's just me.
only for like future career opportunities,
Right.
but also just because you can kind of understand their culture more and understand what's
Right.
going on in the country. Like if
Correct.
one of the biggest countries on earth is helping shape the future of the entire world, why would I not want to learn that language?
Shape the future of the entire world. I'm not gonna go political, okay? And we're just talking language. I'm not gonna go political. Let's just pretend she didn't say that.
Do you know what I mean?
2. growth.
China is just straight up a phenomenon. Now, this kind of ties in with the first reason, but I'm going at it more from like a growth perspective than a size perspective, if that makes sense. Like I said, China went from like nothing in the 60s to the second biggest economy in the world, some of the biggest cities in the world.
The way they did it, though, I know I said I wasn't going to do politics, I know, but you know, what about the Beijing incident when they deployed tanks on the civilian population? So, like, I mean, I'll just stop it at that.
That are kept in super good condition. That kind of growth doesn't happen by accident. The amount of organization that went in, say what you want about having a strong government presence, but in terms of infrastructure and building up the economy and building cities, like they really killed it in such a short amount of time. And it shows
I'd rather they did it without the communism aspect of it, but that's just me.
how forward thinking they are. Like they're thinking for the future, you know what I mean? China's not just
Yeah, I mean, Mao, it's Mao Zedong. Mao was very forward thinking when it came to his future, not as forward thinking when it came to the future of all the people that he ended. It is what it is, guys. That's how I am. I'm not a big fan of totalitarian regimes, whether it be communist USSR with Stalin, whether it be the Nazi with Hitler, whether it be fascists with Mussolini. I'm not a huge fan when people's freedom, and I said I don't talk politics on this channel. Let's consider what I just made, the statement I just made. Let's consider it history, okay? History, that's what I did. I did not do politics, I did history.
just going to stay stuck in the past, which I think makes it a really valuable language to learn. They're going to keep thinking ahead. They're going to keep anticipating things. That's only going to help them get stronger and stronger. And it also is a testament to how flexible they can be and agile and just like the organization. It's just really incredible.
Flexible. Okay, look, I respect people's freedom, so she can think whatever she wants. But if there is one thing that a very strong government isn't, is flexible. Maybe. Am I being pedantic? Let her speak, Metatron. Come on.
China's impressive to me. So that was a huge reason why I wanted to learn Chinese.
Okay,
Next up,
cool.
we're changing a bit. We have the mindset.
Mindset. What's the mindset?
This might be my favorite reason and kind of the one that hits closest to home for me. I started learning Chinese when I was in a very difficult stage of my life. There was lots of rumors around me going around school. It was high school for context. I didn't really feel like I had a great support system. So I would just like go to the library during lunch and study Chinese during my lunch breaks, which I know sounds super nerdy in retrospect.
No, it sounds cool. I like that, actually. And yeah, of course, if you are having a hard time, which can happen to anyone, and I wish no one had to experience that growing up, of course, if it's bullying that she's talking about, it's a horrible thing, and it can really affect the mind. It's a reality. So at the end of the day, anything that worked as a form of escapism, I think it's great. For some people, it's video games. For some people, it's movies. For some people, it's reading novels. For some people, it's learning languages and just focusing your interests and passions into something that kind of takes away from the grim reality that you may be experiencing. I don't know what she's talking about, how grave of a situation it was. Maybe it wasn't too bad, maybe it was really bad. Whichever the case, I'm glad that worked. I think it's a very effective way to do it. Focus on something you love, so you stop having the focus on the things that you don't like about your life. That's
but I don't regret it at all. It gave me structure. It gave me something to work on. It gave me confidence because I could feel myself learning and I could feel how fast I was learning because I was working so hard. But it wasn't just the language itself. I feel like when you learn a language of a country, you can also get bits and pieces of their mindset mixed in with the language just based on how they form sentences and things. One of my favorite Chinese words is jiao, and jiao literally means add oil. What it means is like keep going. You're cheering someone on, you would say jiao, jiao, meaning like add it to the fire, like make the fire bigger, you know what I mean?
Might need to work a little bit on the tones, unless she's doing it on purpose. Like right now, she's not speaking Mandarin. Some people do that, so I'm not going to judge her tones as of now, because she's using the word while she speaks English, so it's possible. A bit like, you know, if you're speaking Japanese, you would say Tokyo with the correct pitch, but maybe if you are in a conversation in English, you could say, yeah, the other day I went to Tokyo, and of course, the pitch is gone, the pronunciation is gone, the vocalic phonemic vowel length is gone. Maybe that's what's happening right now, so I will refrain from commenting further on the tones.
Something about the way the language works, it just gave me the mindset. You just have to keep practicing, you just have to keep going, and if you do, then you will improve. And I also think Chinese being the hardest language in the world was part of that. I was like,
it's not the hardest language in the world. I think Japanese is harder. It's one of the hardest languages in the world, but I wouldn't put Mandarin particularly because I imagine she's talking about Mandarin. Cantonese is already several times harder. Now, I know it's a type of Chinese, but they are very different languages. In fact, I've said this a few times, and this is not me being pedantic. I know pedantry is my second name, my middle name. But in this case, this is really not a matter of being pedantic. It's a matter of understanding and respecting other countries' languages and cultures. Because if you think about it, I mean, Cantonese and Mandarin are not mutually intelligible. I know they use the same characters, although they don't because they've been simplified. In the 50s, the characters in mainland China, not mainland China, sorry, the characters in the People's Republic of China have been simplified, but the same characters are instead traditional when it comes to the Canton area, Hong Kong, and of course Taiwan. So the reality is that, but they read them in a completely different way. Really, Mandarin and Cantonese are as different as, for instance, Italian and, say, another European language are. Where, in fact, I think Italian and French or Italian and Spanish are closer than Mandarin and Cantonese are. Probably we are talking also because think about it geographically, the distance from between Beijing and Xianggang or Hong Kong is massive. So the geography of it, the language of it, the culture of it, the cultural aspects. And yet, when it comes, it's not like Italian, Portuguese, German. We don't call them European. What do you speak? I'm speaking European because they're very different, right? So that's why I personally don't even use Chinese. I mean, I do sometimes, but I think it's better to refer to them as Mandarin, Cantonese, and then there's the other languages, because at the end of the day, they are that different. Yes, they are. It's not all Chinese, if you will. And anyways, Cantonese is definitely harder than Mandarin. And personally, I feel that Japanese is harder than Mandarin, but that is a little bit. The first one I said is objective. Cantonese is objectively harder than Mandarin. But Japanese being harder than Mandarin is subjective because there are some aspects that are harder and some aspects that are easier. And so, for instance, the pronunciation in Mandarin is harder because the tones are absolutely essential. Whereas in Japanese, you can get away without doing the pitches, right? Now, I love pitch accent, and I'm someone who is strongly interested in learning it and perfecting it. But even if you mess it up, usually, I mean, they understand you. But in Mandarin, if you start messing up the tones, it's going to be a problem. But then the grammar, I think Japanese is a lot harder, and reading kanji is definitely harder than reading Hanzi in Mandarin. 100%. I don't even care. That's not even for a debate. So it really depends. Are you someone who's really good with grammar? Then maybe Japanese is better. It's going to be easier for you. Or are you someone who's really good at pronunciation? If you're really that good at pronunciation and you get the tones right in a couple of weeks, then maybe Mandarin is not going to be that difficult for you comparatively.
I want to dream big. If it's the hardest, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn it. That way I can say I did
Fine.
it. It's
The
that
challenge.
mindset.
I can say I did it. So are you fluent in Mandarin?
China
Geopolitics.
is only becoming more important in terms of geopolitics. China's influence is obviously growing. They're making huge efforts to create ties with countries, especially like in Africa, in Central Asia, and in South America.
I know. I can see why she put the disclaimer. This does sound like an advertisement, an advertisement, if you will, where you want to pronounce it for the CCP. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, she can say whatever she wants, but I just want to say on the linguistic aspect of this. Okay, I'm sure they'll give a if the government sees this video, they'll give a renewed visa 100%. Anyways, I just wanted to say this. Apart from ideas of opinions, differences of opinions is irrelevant. I personally still think, though, that as a motivational aspect for learning a language, I personally don't think that money, business, and geopolitics are great. If they worked for you, good. But personally, while these could be rational reasons that you chose specifically, and I can respect that, to work on the language, you did say that these are not the reason why you kept doing it. You did say that, right? And so the reality is you can have all of these reasons they're not going to work for, which I am agreeing with her. In fact, they're not going to work for continuing to learn the language, because you're going to get bored if you're not actually passionate. You need to have fun. And honestly, to me, geopolitics and money is not fun. I mean, having money is fun, but trying to figure out all of the business international is not fun. At least for me, guys. I don't know. You let me know in the comments.
Countries that are notably still developing, which means they are growing. They have the Belt and Road Initiative that China started, which is basically like investing in public infrastructure across the Silk Road in Eurasia. So they're obviously building ties there. Politically, they're in BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, South Africa, I think. They have really good ties with Russia, and they have really good ties with Brazil, which again are two of the world's superpowers. Whether you agree with the Chinese
What about America?
policy or not is not my point. My point is just that they are clearly making ties with countries that are going to be more and more important in the future, which means that they're just going to become harder and harder to ignore.
And I wonder how that connects or relates to learning the language. I'm not 100% sure.
And learning Chinese is very useful in that kind of situation.
Is it? 5. History. Well, then again, if AI continues, we'll have to. That's a completely different chapter. History is a great one because I personally was fascinated by the history of China. I was, and that was one of the things that drew me in. So, because I'm like, it's so fine. I think this one is a good one. Yes.
This is something that's probably kind of
leisure
nerdy, but I don't know. I have to count it as a reason because it was kind of an influence in my decision.
Okay,
Chinese history is sick.
Yeah,
they have one of the most coherent long-term histories in the world. All the dynasties.
Very debatable debatable what does mean the coherent. And I love the dynasties. My favorite dynasty is the Ming dynasty or Ming Chao. I wonder what her favorite dynasty is. Is it one of the most coherent? I feel like sometimes she just makes these sentences. I'm not trying to be annoying, but sometimes like Chinese is the hardest language in the world. You're like, it's not. Or like they have one of the most coherent histories in the world. Define coherent? Like how do we classify coherent?
All of the art, like poetry, calligraphy.
True. Yes. Beautiful.
I feel like China, in a way, they've had a really cohesive country for such a long time. Like, of course, it was split into pieces and there was wars and things like that happened. But like overall, China is still China. And they still have this whole history of 10 dynasties dating back until thousands of years ago. And it's just really incredible to think about. And that it's so well documented. I feel like that's another thing that's really cool about Chinese history. Cool. And even like you go back to China today and you can see history everywhere. Like
of course, yeah, that's great.
In Nanjing, we had the wall of Nanjing that was around us from the Ming Dynasty, or we had the tomb of Ming Xiaoming where he was buried. You go to Xi'an, same thing. You go to Beijing, obviously. It's really cool.
Yeah, she's doing the tones right. Xi'an, Beijing. Language and
now,
culture.
I'm going to give you guys a bonus reason 6.
Okay.
I think learning Chinese has definitely changed me as a person, and this is why. It started when I was back watching Chinese TV shows, learning in the early days. The characters think differently. Like, the way that people act on Chinese TV shows and the way that they think things through is completely different. I
do think TV shows are a good resource, by the way, because usually that you hear everyday conversation rather than, like, watching something that might have to do with sci-fi stuff, for instance. So you're learning how to say power cell in Mandarin. I mean,
my opinion from how they do it in Western like media, their motivations are different. Obviously, there's a difference with the family dynamics and the respect that reflects the mindset of Chinese people is totally different from what we're used to. Success looks different. What people find entertaining or funny is completely different. What people choose to do in their free time is completely different. What people want to buy. When you learn Chinese, you're not just learning a language. You learn another way of seeing the world.
That's true, but that applies to every single language, by the way. Whether it be Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, even English, every language, that is the case. Now, given the more distant you are from, so in this case, she could argue, you're right, but if you're a Western person, you're gonna find yourself more distant, right, to someone in the East. That's correct, but then once again, that could apply to Korean, could apply to everywhere else, really, on the Eastern section of the planet,
through the lens of a culture completely different from your own. Even if you don't even go to China, like I feel like I genuinely started learning the culture when I started learning Chinese language. So my worldview became much bigger. I'm so much more open-minded now. And the thing is, like, of course,
Can I make the comment on how she became more open-minded while praising the CCP? Can I? Can I? Oh, no, sorry, apologize. Okay, maybe I'll edit it out. Or maybe not.
Every culture is worth learning more about, but for me specifically, why Chinese is because I think the language and the culture are tied so closely together. You can learn one and also learn the other.
That's always the case, though, not just because, once again, it's true for Mandarin, for Chinese, but it's true for everything. All languages are tied to their culture, and whenever you study a language, you have to learn the culture together. They are intertwined. Recap.
So, quick recap of all of my reasons. Number one is economy. China has
Number
money.
one is
Go where the money is.
Oh,
Learn
goodness
Chinese helps a lot. Number two is growth, because not only does China have money, but they are on the up and up, and they're making all the right steps for the future to be continuously on the up and up. So long-term stability looks good. Number three is the mindset. I feel like it's a more ambitious and a more like work-oriented mindset that I think is really healthy and good. For geopolitics,
Healthy and good.
they're only going to get more and more important in our everyday life. That's unavoidable. And number five, history. They have one of the coolest, most badass histories of
So only number 5 is the one that I agree with.
all time, and it's coherent and it's documented.
Well, the other thing I agreed with was the challenge. I enjoyed the challenge. I also personally find it beautiful to my ear. I imagine she would agree with that, even though it wasn't one of her choices. But to me, if I hear a language and I don't particularly like it, or I'm not mesmerized by the sound of it, it's difficult but the money is going to be sufficient for me to actually invest the number of hours, right? You need to like the people, you need to like, and you can like the people even if you don't particularly like the current government. This applies to everyone, by the way, because the government is, in theory, is supposed to be representative of the people, but the reality is that I don't think this happens in any country, in any moment, in any place, whatever. Here's the thing, though. To me is the sound of the language, the intrigue, the history, absolutely, the people, and the difficulty of it. And personally, I just find tonal languages fascinating. So this would apply to anything. If one day I'm going to work on Cantonese, or maybe I'm going to work on whatever the heck, Vietnamese, Thai, whatever language that has tones, I find it fascinating.
And that's just
Ancient Greek.
sick.
Conclusion.
Moral of the story is, if I hadn't gone to South Korea, I probably wouldn't have started learning Chinese. And if I didn't learn Chinese, I wouldn't have been to Taiwan. I wouldn't have gotten to
What's your opinion on the North Korean government just asking for a friend?
go to China this past year. So go out, explore. Find a language you want to learn. If that's Chinese, great. You chose well. If that's another language, great. You probably still chose well. But always push yourself out of your comfort zone and always be looking to learn new things. It really just improves your entire life. Like, why would you waste your time when you could spend it in productive ways instead? That's all, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my reasons, or if you have any other ones that you would add. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Well, here we go. So I've done everything she actually asked. So I hope she's open-minded. She said she's open-minded, right? You said you're open-minded, so I hope you're open-minded to the critiques and commentary that I've provided. Because believe it or not, I made a similar video once, and the lady got pissed. Different lady. She got pissed, and she tried to do a copyright claim saying that I was disagreeing with her, and YouTube was like, shut the fuck up, he's allowed to disagree. And I told her, you tried to copy claim another one of my videos, I'll take you to court. But I'm not saying that this is going to be the case, but I'm just saying, your name, whatever your name is, I did what you said, right? You asked to add extra reasons, I did, and to tell you if I agreed or disagreed with your reasons, and I did. So hopefully, I mean, I was being respectful, I suppose, a little cheeky occasionally, but that's just me. And thank you for watching. Bye. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.